Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mike Armstrong podcast show. And this evening, I'm joined by Janis Isaman, who's from My Body Couture in Canada. And we're going to have a little chat about business and lockdown and networking and all those sort of things. And a bit of fitness thrown in as well, I guess. How are you doing today, Janis? You okay?
I'm great. How are you?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Very well. So yeah, it's great to connect with you. What time is it in Canada at the moment?
It's just about 2 o'clock, so I think we're 8 hours difference.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I deal a lot with people in America, but not so much Canada, so I haven't quite got used to. How many timelines are there in Canada?
Oh, I don't actually know. I should know. I would fail some sort of high school exam for not knowing this, but
You
I
kicked
don't
out the
know.
country for not knowing that.
I know, it's terrible. You know, the one fun fact about our time zones in Canada, we actually have a time zone called Newfoundland and Labrador, and it's half an hour. It's not a full hour.
Okay, yeah, that's confusing when you get half hours.
It's totally confusing. So
But
they're
yeah,
working their own little beat out there.
I think America's three. It might be four. I'm not 100% sure, but I know East Coast is 5 hours behind the UK, and the I think the West Coast is 7 hours. I don't know. It gets confusing, but not to worry. The
We're
first
the
place,
same, but we have the 3.5. We have the half
yeah,
time zone.
okay. Yeah, there we are. They'll have to remember that one. But yeah, I usually like to ask people about the lockdown, how it's been for them, and also if they've done any particular pivoting in their business during that time. So how's it been for you?
Well, there was absolutely pivoting because, like most places on the planet, we actually were completely closed. So on March, I don't know, 15th, 16th, it feels like a million years ago, the government said no more going to the gym. So interestingly, they actually didn't make it illegal for me to be open. They made it illegal for people to attend
Yeah,
the facilities. So as of that moment, there was no more bricks and mortar business. So there was an instant pivot, that's the word we use for this, to online. So
yeah,
I am fortunate in that it's a fitness business, and so that can actually be delivered online. So the the shelter at home orders that were put in place had a very strong impact on my business because there was a 3-month window when I was actually completely closed.
yeah.
And now I'm open with kind of mandates and fences around it.
Yeah, is
But
it like social distancing? Is it got to be 2 meters apart or meter and a half?
yes, Canada is doing 2 meters, I believe, whatever 6 feet is. We have to be 6 feet apart, which is
Oh, is it?
a little bit more than some jurisdictions, a little bit less than others, but yeah, we're 6 feet.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I think 6 feet is a little bit less than 2 meters, I think.
Might be. I don't
Uh,
know. It's weird because Canada actually, we actually technically are on the same measuring scale as you, but we refer to it as 6 feet. I don't know
yeah,
what the meters are supposed to be, but six
yeah.
feet.
How is actually, I haven't heard too much about Canada from the UK. I've heard a lot about America. You know, Donald Trump tends to take most of the news from North American continent. But
We've
how's
all
Canada
heard
been?
about America.
Yeah, yeah, everyone's heard about America. I think Trump sells newspapers all over the world.
This is true. This is true. Canada has actually, I feel like we have done very well in the scheme, which is why we're not exactly competing with America for news.
Yeah, that's good. It's always good not to be in the newspaper in these times.
When it comes to COVID, yes, we're gonna go with no news is truly good news.
Yeah, 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 definitely. Canada always is a bit like a bit like Australia and no, sorry, New Zealand. I always think like they're quite sensible, like So I would have thought I would that's how Canada always comes across to me is always quite a sensible nation. America's a bit nuts, but Canada's always a bit more a bit more sensible, a bit more cosmopolitan. And a bit like New Zealand, where it's been managed quite well, and they've seemed to keep a lid on it. I would imagine that's how Canada has been,
We
mostly.
actually have kept quite a good lid on it. I don't
Yeah,
know how this all proceeds from here, but yes, they've taken they've taken a moderate, consistent approach
Yeah.
that sort of means that our numbers are pretty flat and very unnewsworthy.
Fair enough. And have you always been into fitness and health and well-being and all that, or have you done something else previously and then changed later on?
Yeah, this is a career shift for me, actually. So I used to work in the media, actually. So quite a different career. And I think it was closing in on 8 years ago, I moved my fitness business from part-time, I'm not going to say hobby job, but side hustle for sure, to a full-time bricks and mortars facility business.
Okay. And how long ago did you do that?
That was, I opened the bricks and mortars business in 2013. So 7 years.
So you had enough time. It wasn't so new that COVID come along and would have destroyed your business if you'd had only just changed, like, but you've been around
I've had
a while.
so many thoughts about that, because those first couple of years in business really are quite vulnerable.
Yeah.
And they're quite, I describe it as clutching onto the edge of a swimming pool. You're just gripped onto the side of that, kicking, don't know what's going on, don't want to let go. And in those years, I mean, you at least I did, I outlaid so much money to open the business, and you're just such a new swimmer that this COVID wave, I really feel like could just take you under.
Yeah, you're a bit like somebody with underlying health conditions with the COVID, if you like, your business.
Yes.
You got underlying business conditions, and if something
that's true, it's so true. Yeah, so I've just been, I mean, this was a moment where a few times I thought, wherever you are, you're just stuck there. Like, it doesn't matter what you planned, it doesn't matter if you had a good business plan, bad business plan, it doesn't even really matter what sort of marketing techniques you used, you were just stuck at that moment in time, literally at the mercy of whatever you had done. It was too late. Bring your assets in, and it is what it is, right?
Yeah, definitely. And so I actually myself have been getting healthier during this time. So I've been exercising twice a day, which I never normally used to have time to do, because obviously the incentive is, if there's a killer virus out there that's going to get you the least fit you are, then you might as well get fit. You're not going to get much more of an incentive as that to get fit. Plus also the extra time as well.
It's a very interesting phenomenon right now, because I was dying for months to see statistics, because I'm like, everybody's got the Fitbits on and we were all carrying around our phone. Someone knows what this data looks like. And when it did come out, basically people who were already conscious of being fit increased their fitness level quite a bit. Yeah. The sedentary folks really leaned into that. So if you really were struggling or it just wasn't happening, those numbers kind of went way down. So, you got the old 300 steps days that are happening for people because they went from their couch to their kitchen, back to their couch, trip to the kitchen table, back to the couch. But then there was whole groups of people that really did pick that up. So on average, the folks who got more active, it was about 33% more active. So that's quite a bit.
Yeah, I think some people seen it as an opportunity to get a load of stuff done that they couldn't get done normally, and other people seen it as an opportunity to worry, stress, and return back and forth to the fridge.
That's right. Now, in fairness, I too was in that group when it started, because I have a school-age child, so he was sent home, and then I became a teacher of elementary school, as well as trying to pivot my business. So that those first 6 weeks, I actually did look at my Fitbit data, and I was like, "Ooh, we do not need to release this to the public because it is definitely not looking very healthy." And at that moment, I actually did turn it around, because I'm like, well, the only person I'm lying to is myself here, because this is not going well. So let's prioritize this, because if that's not in place, nothing else is going to be really in place. And nobody wants to see the big post-COVID reveal where the fitness trainer has, it's not all about weight, but gained 40 pounds and not a good story.
No, no. Well, I suppose you could always have the and how I lost her again in 2 weeks
This
story.
is true. This is true. Which
Right?
is that actually that's exactly what I did. So I actually gained 8 pounds, and then it was like overnight, and I was like, oh my goodness. So then I did a vegan diet for 3 weeks, and I got moving and lost more than 8 pounds. So that was the old before and
I'm a
after
sort of
picture.
16 and a half stone fella anyway. I can gain 8 pounds one Saturday night watching the rugby. Having a couple of pints and a kebab. 8 pounds, no problem.
That's awesome.
But I can also lose 8 pounds quite easy as well, just
This is, you know what? This is true. It's the good showy folks. I'm actually like that too. It's like easy come, easy go. So
yeah,
we can do before and after pictures like every week if I want to, because easy come, easy go.
definitely. It's just lifestyle, isn't it? Lifestyle is one of the big things for health and well-being. And I started exercising twice a day. I'm actually on a 75-day challenge,
Oh
which
wow.
I did 65 days ago or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was on my own challenge for about 3 months in the beginning of lockdown, just my own routine.
Yeah.
The odd day off here and there, but mostly exercising 2 or 3 times a day. Now I'm on a 75-day challenge, which is only exercising twice a day, but it's also being on a
Okay.
diet, reading a book, drinking a gallon of water. It's a load of different things. It's a challenge, like multiple function challenge, no drinking alcohol, all that sort of thing. And and so, the exercise has been easy to do, but just day in, day out, not missing it, no day off or whatever, it gets, you have certain times where it gets to you, like, you know what I mean? Because you just haven't had a break. But I've enjoyed it though, and I'm gonna go back once the 75-day challenge is ended. I'm gonna continue with exercising at least once a day, every day. I might have
Once a
some.
day is good. Twice is that's a lot on a sustainable lifestyle level, but once a day is good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I think just doing anything daily consistently is going to be good for you, isn't it? Like, but
Yeah.
twice a day, it's two 45-minute sessions. So I'm going to change it to one hour, and then
Oh,
that gives
that's
me
great.
a whole hour extra in the day, or half hour, really to do more work, like more business, like.
Great. That's right. Well, I know you're going to be drinking some beer, eating some wings, gaining your 8 pounds.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to be drinking some beer and eating some fatty food because I've been on, I'll just have a kebab or something, or a bag of chips, because I've
Oh,
been
it
on
hits
a
good.
diet and no alcohol for the longest time I've ever been on. I've never been on a diet. To me, I don't. To me, diets don't work. I see my mum sort of yo-yo diet most of her life, and
Yeah.
diets don't work. Either you change your lifestyle, so you change your eating habits and you exercise more, or you just
Okay.
exercise a lot. To me, that's how you.
Nobody likes this, but really having a healthy body is about two things: exercise
Yeah,
and nutrition.
yeah.
And they're just very simple principles, actually. I mean,
Put
just
less in and move more.
yeah, that's right. And so I think we're constantly trying to look for these little shortcuts and these little secrets and these, oh, if you just eat this way, magic will happen. And it doesn't. You just have to really be consistent. You have to get out the door and actually do those workouts day in and day out and not skip
Yeah,
anything.
you know,
Actually have to eat vegetables. You can't get around that. There's no magic tricks to it.
sweat is fat crying. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If you get the sweat up, the fat will cry and disappear. But if you
It's
don't get the
it's
sweat,
it's true. It's
not doing
true.
enough, like.
It's true. So I actually think COVID's been a great time. I know for me personally as well, just having reduced social contact. Typically in the summer, we have a very short summer in Canada, so or at least in this part of Canada. So I generally am enjoying more potato chips, consuming more alcohol. This year, I'm like, yeah, this is a great year to put my principles truly in practice. So even without my, I'm not talking about my clients, just me, I noticed that we're back to those basics of let's just kind of eat my vegetables, go for walks, and do those really basic fundamental things.
Yeah. Well, I come up with a happiness formula during lockdown. I listened to Jarek Robbins, son of Tony Robbins, on a masterclass
Oh
speech.
yeah.
He was talking about actually crisis management and pivoting in business and all of that. But um, he went through 5 steps of happiness, 5 steps of happiness, which it was just things to do on a daily basis to be happy. And I was actually living the sort of 5 things, if you like, at the time. So it really resonated with me because I thought, actually, I'm usually doing 3 or 4 of them, maybe, but I'm not always doing all 5. And I was actually doing all 5 every day.
This
Yeah.
is true, though. I think we're actually living in a very consumer oriented world where a lot of us are trying to buy things to make us happy.
Yeah.
But those really foundational, boring, basic things, I think most people are probably in that. I probably was too, where you're doing
I think most people are doing sort of 3 or 4 out of the 5, and actually, if you do all 5, you will be really, really happy. So I was actually living the 5. And I'll tell you the ones I weren't doing regularly, and the ones I added to it in a minute. But so it's actually 7 steps. Mine is, I call it. So I developed his 5 steps into an acronym called the Smart Happiness Formula, and it had. I disagreed with some of what he said and some of the foundations slightly because I was living a slightly different version of it. So I come up with my own formula, which is called SMART, which stands for sleep, meditation, ability to perform, random acts of kindness, and target setting, target achievement. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted a nice acronym, so that's why it's SMART. So I've had to come up with ability to perform, which I could have called action as well, or activity, yeah. But I wanted it to cover action, exercise, nutrition, and hydration, yeah. I called it ability to perform because those 3 are what give you that ability to perform consistently.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Because obviously the nutrition gives you the energy, the exercise gives you the hormones, and the hydration keeps you perk and gives you the energy and stops you having your dips and all of that. So I put, so as a word, it's not a great word, ability to perform, but it covers 3 areas. Yeah. And then the other 4, which as an acronym, SMART, is really good. It's really clever. Yeah. And there's a certain formula, like, for example, if you do at least half an hour exercise, yeah, if you have a balanced nutritional diet, you drink a gallon of water a day, you sleep for your 7.5, 8 hours, you do at least 30 minutes meditation or mindfulness, you do at least 1 random act of kindness a day, but as many as you can will make you more.
I like that one.
Yeah, because it's oxytocin. You release oxytocin when you do random acts of kindness. So actually, physically, scientifically, makes you happier. Yeah, it's the same happiness hormone as if you're patting a pet puppy or something.
Yeah, I like that one.
You have a skin on skin with humans, like with a baby or whatever, So, and then obviously target setting, target achievement, short, medium, and long term gives you anticipation, excitement for looking and achieving something big, but also day-to-day targets gives you that that success release hormone of achievement.
I like it a lot, and I like your ability to perform because most adults think that we're smarter than that. So many adults will claim that we need less than 8 hours of sleep, like we're all scientific miracles, or that we can just kind of eat this diet, or that we can get it slide by without actually.
We can eat like brown cardboard, basically stuff with nothing in it, like dead stuff that we've stuck in the microwave and it's got nothing in it. And it's
super true. And so what's funny about it is everybody who has children knows how important these things are, because if your kid doesn't get enough sleep, or if they're eating too much sugar or garbage or packaged food, or if they're locked inside without exercise, like there's, I don't know if this is happening in Europe, but in North America, there's a lot of schools that are removing phys ed classes, and people, you notice the difference. And so it's fascinating to me because we know this inherently with children. They will just turn into little bears. They're not able to perform. You don't want them around. And yet somehow we grow up and become adults and we're like, you don't need to work out. You can eat like convenience foods. And I only need 5 hours of sleep. Like, it just doesn't, we don't just hit age 18 and then grow out of the need to do these basic foundation habits, right?
No, we just sometimes convince ourselves with an adult excuse system that we don't need them. We convince ourselves, but actually the body still is unconvinced.
The body is unconvinced. So you will not trick your body. You will trick your body because you actually blunt your sensation to feel the difference. That's what happens. But you're not actually performing at your best. Absolutely not.
Yeah, definitely. So the smart happiness formula I come up with.
I like it.
And I quite like it. I'm going to teach people. I'm going to write books on it and seminars and all that. And then
I like it. Smart.
A big part of my happiness is success as well. So then that led me on to doing a 7-step success formula as well. So
which pieces did you of Tony Robbins were you like, no, this is not?
So obviously it was Jared Robbins, Tony Robbins' son, but obviously I imagine a lot of it would have come from Tony. Yeah. But so Tony, so Jarek had he had sleep and he had meditation, and I actually have changed mine to meditation or mindfulness because I wasn't actually meditating, I was doing mindfulness. I was going out and riding on a bike, but letting my brain contemplate and stuff. So actually, I don't think I've actually done meditation since then, and to compare it, but actually, I think mindfulness still, is enough.
It holds up.
Yes. Yeah, it holds up. It's just letting your brain recalibrate. It's a bit like a laptop, a computer. You got to switch it off every now and then to freshen it and let all of the programs get back in the right order and stuff, like.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. So that was that one. And then he had exercise. And so I had the ability to perform. Yeah. Which to me.
Amp this up. We'll add some nutrition. We'll add some sleep.
Nutrition. Not many people would argue with Tony Robbins or Janet Robbins, the son of. But I'm a bit like, if that's not that wasn't my experience. My experience was slightly different.
That's right. That's why I was asking, because I'm like, you're taking on the big boss there.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll take him on. I don't mind. I'll stand my corner. I don't just come up with stuff for the sake of it. I think about it and I'm strategizing it and I'm thinking, actually, this is what I'm living. So what I'm living is, I can only tell my truth. I can't tell anyone else's, can I?
I think you're right. I'm actually with you on meditation as well. So I actually have a yoga certification, and I mean, I know this is going on video, but I don't meditate. So a yoga teacher that doesn't meditate, but I do very much practice that mindful awareness, and for me, that is actually.
And I think that's enough. Powerful tool. That gives you the same happiness, the same contemplation, the same successful ideas popping out of your head as meditation can do, etc. So what I do is I do mindfulness, and I stick a bit of meditation in now and then when I think I need it. If I've got a lot of stuff going on, or maybe sometimes I'll put a bit of meditation on to go to sleep. In the night if my brain's ticking along or something. So the ability to perform was different, and the mindfulness and the meditation, the random acts of kindness was the same, and he had and the goals were different as well. So he had goals and I had targets, but also his goal was just to book a holiday, and it was more the anticipation of goals.
Oh, interesting.
But I actually changed it to actually short, medium, and long-term goals. So not just booking a holiday or something, but actually setting structured short, medium, and long-term goals, because I believe that is better for you. It's better for success, and it's also
let's be 100% honest. If we all needed to fulfill the goals, pretty much anything that most people had set for 2020, blown up, right? So it can't just be, because I typically take summer vacation, etc. So if my happiness was resting on achieving my 2020 goals, I would be a mess right now.
No, but I think what he basically says is, which is true, is if you book for a holiday, you get that excitement and that energy. And even if you don't go on the holiday, but just by booking it, you're giving yourself that hormone, But what I believe is that's good as one type of happiness, Yes. Actually, if you do the short-term goals as well, then what you're getting is that, and if you're doing that holiday and that anticipation of the long target and the reward for hitting the long target, you've got that anticipation, but you're also getting the little boosters in your energy of the actual achievement of your daily task.
I totally agree. Yeah.
So therefore, I think what my 5-step formula does is it's just it enhances and goes into a little bit more detail about some of the flexibilities that you could put into the system to allow it to fit in with your natural sort of day-to-day tasks, if you like.
My thought was that that would give you practice on constantly reinventing goals and reinventing, because you're kind of always moving through them. So you would be quite practiced and then able to deal with situations.
Able to pivot.
Able to pivot, right.
So this has been one of my best times in my life, I would say, the lockdown period has, but that's because I love change. Yes. I love technology, I love change, I love variety, but also I've been living at home I'm working from home for the last 8 years, yeah? So there wasn't really much change to my routine. Sure. The only change was, instead of having to go to the real world to do real world networking events and meetings, I just do it online so I can get more done in a day. And I like achievement, I like actually getting stuff done. So actually to do it in a more efficient way is better for me. Plus, everyone else used to be hard to get hold of because they would be in commuter traffic, and lunch breaks and all the rest of that. But now they've just all been contactable at home on similar timelines to me. You're sort of more 8 till 8 rather than 9 till 5.
This is true. I really like that it's opened up, for example, this conversation where we're in different continents.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. I've had more contact with people outside of Canada in the last couple months than I ever have in my life, basically put together.
Yeah, same as me. So I started my podcast at the beginning of lockdown, and it was called You Can't Do It, and that's because I wanted to help people with mental health issues, because I knew mental health issues were coming. Because you can't, not everyone can come up with their own things to do in their own timelines and be happy with their own company and all that sort of thing. Some people aren't like that, so they're going to suffer, And so I started my podcast, and then I started doing entrepreneur chats around the 10th of June. So it was the end of April I started it. And I was just doing morning motivations, a bit of positivity, a bit of personal development, that sort of thing. And I started doing a bit of business coaching and all that because I used to be a corporate sales director. So I know a lot about networking, sales, marketing, entrepreneurship, social media and all of that. So I started putting that in there. And I started having dual chats because I was doing a lot of online networking, but I didn't have the time to follow up with everyone because I was doing so much podcasting and contacting.
Right.
So I decided actually I'll follow up with them on a podcast and a Zoom call and a YouTube, put content to my podcast and YouTube and get my networking done at the same time as creating content. So it become efficient. So I started getting people on, and because I'm a massive network and I got a big network, it probably took me till about, say, 50 episodes when I was starting to get a bit thin on the ground to my regular contacts, which I'm nowhere near full my regular contacts, but the ones who were easy to get on, I've gone through. Now it's other people who are busy, and you have to sort of like try and squeeze them in when you can, etc. Yeah. And in the last few weeks, I've just started connecting with people on Facebook and LinkedIn from all around the world.
Which is awesome.
And I've had another 50 odd people probably from around the world. So I've had 50 people on my podcast, and it's been amazing just to speak to all those people and learn about how they're doing in business and in life and in lockdown and all the rest.
Plus you get this beautiful parade of accents.
Yes, exactly. And at some point, I'm thinking about trying to get a documentary produced from all the content.
Super cool.
Yeah, because like it's a historic moment in time, and I've got a catalogue of 100 different people from around the world on how they dealt with that moment in time.
And I was going to say, everybody has a story, right?
Yeah.
Because we can pretty much all remember where we were the moment that the government said, this is done now, you're going to stay at home.
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, it's a great, it'll be a great educational piece for people on how to deal with the crisis, because there's so many different, stories of how people have dealt with this situation. So
yes.
Great educational video for, the next global recession or the next pandemic or the next whatever.
Next anything. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier today, actually. I think when we come into these, it's just like meditation. It's just like mindfulness, where the more practice we actually have with change management, target setting, and being able to actually pivot, the more we're able to be comfortable with that, and the more we're able to actually do it. If you've only ever done it once, this probably didn't go that well.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But if you actually kind of have that regular practice, it is like exercise. It's like mindfulness. It's like healthy eating, where you're just like, okay, let's just move it along.
Yeah, I do a lot of personal development stuff. I belong to a network called Intrabiz. They used to be Wales's biggest business network, and now they're a global online network. And they have speakers like Brian Tracy and Sharon Lecter and Dr. John DiMartini and Les Brown and all that sort of thing. So, people they would never have got to come to their real world events, but since they've gone online,
Yeah.
so some of these amazing guys. And I've probably listened to in audiobook or read probably 8 to 12 books, during the lockdown. So things like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the magic of thinking big, the psychology of sales, the psychology of success, the $1 million, Eat That Frog. I just going through them because I'm exercising all the time. I got them on audio while I'm.
I was going to say, I do the same thing. Only I listen to podcasts, but I think it's great because as I'm out exercising, I'm listening to, I've gone through countless hours of podcasts, and it reminds me actually of being a student. It reminds me of being in university, because when else do you get these literal global leaders of thought that are just in your ear? Only, it's like just on my phone. I don't even have to pay for it. It's crazy.
No, I know. I go to YouTube and just find the audio version of the book, and either the person whose book it is reading it on the audio, or someone else is reading it on the audio. So someone has just gone on there reading it, and I much prefer that, because I like to do 2-3 things at once. I'm a multitasker, which is rare for us males, but I do like to. I like to do 2 or 3 things at a time,
There's actually a studied phenomenon in fitness. If it is hard for you to work out, you do something called temptation bundling. So you take something that you want to do, let's say it's listening to an audiobook or listening to a podcast, or even it could be even watching TV, and pair it with something that you really don't want to do very much. Yeah. And then you bundle those together, and it's kind of like a little Pavlov's dog phenomenon, where you will start to, when you put your podcast on, you start exercising. When you turn your TV on, you're going to start exercising. And it sounds like you inherently have that temptation bundling. So you're all on the audiobooks while you're working out.
Yeah, it's just sort of like neuralistic programming. There's this habit forming, But I love riding a bike, and I love the audiobook as well. So for me, I'm in heaven, and I'm getting my mindfulness done at the same time as well. Because even though when you listen to an audiobook, you can still not be thinking that much. You can still be letting your head rest and stuff like that. Plus, sometimes, for example, like when you're out on a bike, you'll go in and out of signal area with your data.
Yes.
So sometimes you're actually getting a bit of silence, and then if I'm enjoying that silence, I won't, press play back on the audio if I'm enjoying the silence. So it all depends what's out there, and what the weather's like and all that sort of thing, But
depends on. I sometimes realize partway through a podcast, I'm like, I don't even know if I actually absorbed anything they were saying. So sometimes you're right. You totally
sometimes you don't zone into other things, don't you? It all depends.
Yeah, you just get lost in your own thoughts, and it's just somewhere there in the background. And there's other times I'm just completely engaged in that podcast. But it's quite amazing how much personal development stuff is available in the world right now. And you said,
how much free
top
stuff
experts that we would have had to, we probably wouldn't even been able to access them 20 years ago.
No, and the amount of free stuff in the first 3 months of lockdown, the amount of courses I went on and stuff, it was crazy. It was mad.
It was crazy. I was thinking of that recently. I'm like, I wish that I could go back to that moment and just capture some of that, because I didn't have time to. There were so many courses and so many.
I was on about 3, 4, 5 of them a week. It was crazy.
It was crazy.
I'm glad it's died down a bit now, because I'd probably still be in that stage of, to me, I'm all about knowledge and upskilling and
you.
and all of that. And yeah, you know, it's very. I was. What's really good about it is they do this targeted advertising now. So once you
Sure.
agree to one thing, you keep getting lots more of it. And
Yeah.
so that's bad if it's like spam advertising, but when it's actually stuff that you want, it's
Right.
amazing because it just keeps coming. Like you're like, oh
It
yeah,
just keeps coming. I know. I actually was curious about that when you you just referenced, you know, this is a moment in time that's historic. That was probably literally the biggest wave of knowledge released to the world in one whack, in one single bit that
yeah.
has ever been
Like
done.
the perfect storm, you know, because the technology was there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who would normally charge a lot of money for that
Yeah.
course thought, actually, I can just give back. You know, this is the
Yes.
whole of humanity suffering right now. So
Yes.
the sort of mood and the thought process was there. The technology was there. All of a sudden, everybody who wasn't online is now online, and all of
Yeah.
this knowledge was like, right, you can webinar me, you can, you know, Zoom me, you can, you know,
Yeah.
listen the audio me, whatever. So it was like the perfect storm that have never happened in history, and
Never.
never
I
happened
absolutely
again.
agree. So
Yeah,
I would be curious because I'm sure that at some point somebody will, in some academic setting, do some sort of analysis of how much data was put into the world in
yeah.
March 2020. But it
Well,
was,
I'm a big fan of Grant Cardone 10x, and it was a bit like 10x learning. Everyone went up 10 times, like, you know.
yeah, it was just crazy. And I agree with you. And I think every business owner just immediately had that, what can I do? And it had to relate somehow to getting everything out there and online.
It was good. It was good to see humanity pull together a bit, you know, with that. You know, I think, you know, people do. We was getting into a stage before lockdown, before coronavirus and stuff, where people were getting a bit overly materialistic and not really appreciating the human side of things and whatever. And I think there's been a bit of a reset. You know, I think, you know, a bit like in war times, people pull together. You know, it was a bit
Sure.
like a wartime with the whole human races like on one side, and then this coronavirus is on the other side. So you've had
I'm fascinated by what long-term impacts this is going to have. I saw this morning, this was coming out of the US, but for the first time in 6 years, consumer debt has actually dropped. So credit cards are being paid off. So people are finally paying down debt faster than they're accumulating it. And it's things like that. When I see those statistics, I wonder, does that stick? Does some of this uptake in health and fitness, I did see that yesterday, that there is more consumer demand for health and fitness at this moment due to a lot of things that we talked about.
I think it might be the one biggest change to lifestyle as it was. The one biggest thing I personally think is going to be just a change to work, you know, patterns and, you know, all that sort of thing. This is going to be the big one, like, you know.
Yeah. What actually, from my business standpoint, what I thought was incredible, a couple of years ago, I actually did introduce an online component, but it was quite limited in a certain way because we just weren't there. It's very hard to get people to change. So I would have clients that would go on vacation and I would say, you know, we can do a Skype or a FaceTime session. No, nobody did it. 0 people ever.
No.
I had Facebook classes and those did have some success, but it just didn't really kind of balloon into anything. And I noticed in March, it was just like, okay, well, you know, it's March 17th and now you have no choice. So if you've never used Zoom, today is the day you do it. If you have never used Facebook, today is the day you do it. If you don't have a phone with a camera, today's the day you get one. And so everybody just got over all of those fears, all of those anxieties, you know, learn to just brush the old hair no matter where you're at. Kids and pets and whatever stuff's in your background, just it is what it is.
It was dictated a lot by the older generation who didn't want to get used to the technology, and the younger generation then would not be able to dictate, well, I want to Zoom you instead of go and see you, because they were more senior. They'd be like, well, I want to see you. So, you know, the seniority, if you like, was always there. And so it would have taken, I think it would have taken 10, 15, maybe 20
forever.
years to get to where
I agree.
on now, like, you know, what
So
what
it was
6 months ago would have taken 20 years.
technological en masse adoption that we've never seen before of probably anything, probably ever, because there was, I think Europe was a little ahead of North America in terms of when we closed down, but it was like literally with whatever jurisdiction you were in, you had 24 hours to get on Zoom, or you were that's it, right? So I love that, because I thought, wow, what an opportunity, because this is a moment I don't have to walk my clients through this. I don't need to walk my clients through fear or how we get on here or how to get it on your phone or what you're looking for. It's literally en masse adaptation.
Yeah,
everywhere.
I'm doing like a lot of LinkedIn podding at the moment, and LinkedIn's never been so full of people on it so often, and you know, it's just, everyone's gravitating the business world. I do a lot of B2B, and in the business world, and the B2B and stuff, it's just, you know, I actually run a couple of pods, and I'm on a pod as well, so we all like and comment each other's stuff to help the post go further, and you get 10 likes and comments within the first hour, and it goes viral, like, you know. So LinkedIn's the best place still for that to happen.
Sure.
And so, yeah, you know, now you get like, I'll do a post and I'll get like 500 views, you know, just by getting 10 likes or comments in the first hour, like, you know, and there's all those people on there, like, you know. So yeah, I think it's fantastic. You know, for me, as somebody who does social media marketing, you know, SEO, I'm digital. You know, I was already in the online space. I used to have to try and pull people kicking and screaming, you know,
exactly.
the area.
Exactly.
And COVID did a much better job than I could ever have done, like, you know.
COVID really stuck a gun to people's heads, which you know, worked out for if you already were in that world. It was a great gun to people's head.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm lucky as well. Sounds like you are as well. I haven't been actually affected by anyone I know with actual COVID. So I've only seen the upside, not the downside. And obviously, all the people I get on in business, you know, if people have been affected, they haven't been overly affected. But, you know, the positives in their business has always been, you know, they're, you know, at the forefront, if you like. And, you know, the only effect I've had really is I've got my dad and his girlfriend is shielding, so I've been shopping once a week, every week since it started. Like, you know, so that takes some time out of my day as well. So you know, I usually do that on a Saturday or a Sunday, so those days are always pretty squeezed for me because I have the same routine all through the week. You know, just Saturday and Sunday is slightly lighter. You know, I don't do so many dual chats like this, so it's more just my own chats on the podcast, because at the moment I got 5 series running, the A to Z of networking, the A to Z of marketing, the A to Z of sales, the A to Z of social media, and the A to Z of entrepreneurship. So I could do them on the weekends, you know, when I'm not doing dual interviews, you know, dual chats, like on an entrepreneur chat.
Yeah. Well, I think that like many things in life, it impacted every business, and we can sit and focus on the things that the change that we missed, and we can mourn that for the rest of all time, or we can focus on the things that have actually been gained out of this. And there are probably many of both for a lot of businesses, right?
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I'm a big networker. So if you know anyone, you know, who's involved in networking or business entrepreneurship, anyone else in your network that might want to come on my podcast, then feel free to send them my way.
Right.
And,
bring the Canadians forth.
Yes, bring forth the Canadians, because I seem to bump into more Americans, but you know, I'm Welsh, I am, so we're like the next door neighbours to England, the Welsh.
Right.
Which is very similar to the Canadians and the Americans.
This is true. This is true. We're a slightly quieter people. Years ago, I actually used to work at a major ad agency, and we would pick up commercials that had been shot and edited for the American audience. So one of our clients was actually Pizza Hut, and we would redub every single commercial, because to the Canadian ear, the volume and the verbiage just sounds to Canadians like shouting. Yeah. So I've never forgotten that, because I actually find it quite hilarious.
Yeah.
So we tone it down just a notch. And so we would literally re-record. We would take the same visual and then just take it into the sound booth, just turn the sound and a little bit of the enthusiasm down.
Yeah. Well, that's a bit more, also a bit more, usually Canadians are a little bit more world aware than Americans. So Americans are quite American focused and that's it.
Oh yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
like,
I think I lived in the United States, and I think that the difference for certain for Canadians, we learn about America, we learn about the rest of the world. Americans tend to in schools learn about America.
Yeah.
So I mean, Canadian history is not as long, it's not as complex, so we learn about it, but we also learn about Americans, but we also,
Yeah, because you have your European connection and influence, if you like, by France, then you're obviously a lot more aware of Europe than, say, the Americans usually are, like,
Correct. And then Canada also, of course, is part of the Commonwealth. So we are very aware
of the wider sort of, Commonwealth,
right.
Africa and
right.
the rest of that.
We have to, pledge allegiance to the same queen as we have cousins.
Yes. Yeah, there we are. So so I would say, Wales and Canada, when I meet Canadians, Wales and Canadians always seem to get on because they have a sort of little brother, little next door, quieter, a little bit more well read, if you like, or a bit more world viewly,
It's quite fascinating, actually. Anytime I visit a Commonwealth country, I'm like, I get this. Yeah. A couple of years ago, we went to Barbados, and that's in the Caribbean, and I've been to other Caribbean nations, but just because Barbados is part of the Commonwealth, I was like, I feel like I understand the rules of operation here.
Yeah, the rules are very similar, aren't they? So you understand the way things work and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So tell everyone how can they get hold of you if they want to take part in any of your online content, etc.
Excellent. Well, my website is mybodycouture.com, and then I am My Body Couture on Facebook, Twitter. I'm under my own personal name on LinkedIn, and I'm under My Body Couture on Instagram. So that is spelled MYBODYCOUTURE.
So couture being fashion in French.
Right, like it's custom made. So what I actually do is custom fitness. I work largely one-on-one, and I work with people anywhere in the world. I do at present have some group content classes as well, but I basically do custom fitness. So that's why I use the word couture.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, tailored then.
Tailored, yes. Tailored. Yes.
So, yes, brilliant. And any plans for the future, with the business? Are you doing exactly what you want to do, or you got plans to expand or, add anything else into the mix?
Well, that's a great question. A couple of years ago, I diversified my business. So I added an online component. I added product sales. I'm actually teaching teachers. I do writing. So I don't need to really expand, but what I do need to do and want to do, and this is the moment, is just integrate everything so that it's a seamless offering, whether it's bricks and mortars or whether it's online. So we're just kind of pulling all of that together. The online sessions that I have done in the last number of months, my clients get exactly the same experience in real life as they do online. And it's just fantastic. So I don't have big plans. I have plans to really just settle into this hybrid model, which is so fantastic. So just as we roll into September, just really putting everything that I've learned in the last 5 months really into play for clients.
Yeah. So you've got the plan in place, really. It's just about growing each of the elements of the plan. Just keep building that up. Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant. All right then. Well, I'm conscious that for you it's still the afternoon.
It is.
It's getting towards late in the evening now, 10 o'clock, nearly 10 o'clock.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But for you, for me, I can keep talking all day, but I'm sure you've got some work you've got to do and some clients to see and speak to and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to say thank you very much for coming on my podcast. sharing all of the information that you have done and all of the goings on that you've been doing in your business. So yeah, thanks a lot for that. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, no problem. And if I can be of any assistance to you, tag me in on social medias, on
I will.
all of that. I happily share any of your content, or if you've got any events coming up, let me know and I'll happily share them. And
Amazing.
once I post this on my podcast and on my YouTube channel, I'll send you the links.
Perfect. And I'll connect with you on LinkedIn.
Brilliant. Okay then. Lovely meeting you and have a nice day.
Thank you. You too.
Brilliant.
Take care.
Bye-bye. And there's nothing else left for me to say now other than have a great day. I know I will. And thanks very much for listening. Cheers. Bye-bye.